in the too, bruh. Like,
for the balance of the hour, George Humphrey, my good friend, going back 25 years to when we were both involved. He was like one of the heads of the campaign locally for Pat Buchanan. Back then, handing out pamphlets about the private Federal Reserve. He's written several best-selling books. His new book just came out. It's on Amazon.com. Life, Love, Joy, A Story, Humanity's Origins, the Polarity of Present Choices, and Our Unrealized Potential. Getting into what the globalists actually think, but from a different perspective. And let me tell you, whether what he gets into in the book is accurate or not, it's the cosmology of the elite, just from a different perspective. Why they think the way they think, why they're waging war against humanity. The globalists say they're going to break away and be their own species. They believe their psychopathic behavior is actually advanced. It's why they interbreed with each other in every elite culture throughout history, actually as a parasite on humanity. And they're creating new species. What do you think AI computers are? What do you think all this stuff is? So we're going to be talking about that with George Humphrey. But George, you know, you've been a city council person. You've been involved at the lobbying level. You've seen a lot of things around the world. You've been an international businessman, a real estate developer. You've, you know, jack of all trades, smart guy. Looking at the current climate, have you ever seen anything like it? How would you describe it? And then looking at Donald Trump and this whole phenomenon as he begins to pull ahead in scientific polls, I really think they're going to come after him physically. And what would you say to the Bernie Sanders supporters, you know, later, I want to talk about this, how could they support Hillary when obviously she's the establishment candidate?
Well, first of all, it's good to be here. And
Thanks for coming, man. You look good.
Yeah, I love you, brother. And it's always fun to be on this show. And doing this kind of work is the most life-invigorating work I could ever do. And I think for most of you listeners, when you talk about this stuff, it invigorates your life. And we're not doom and gloom. We're about making this planet a better place. Now, it's my opinion that most, not all, but most of the Bernie Sanders people are young. Their hearts are open. They want to do the right thing. They realize how much corruption is out there, but they just haven't had the experience. And I have a lot of people I know who were Bernie Sanders people, and I listen to what they're saying, and I say I agree with that concept, and I agree with that concept. But I say, what is the greatest danger to our world and our country? And then think about it. It's the consolidation of power of the government. Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And they go, yeah. And what's his plan? Is to give all the power to the government. And then they go, oh, yeah. And then they start realizing, now all this attack on Trump, I'm still not 100% for Trump, but in comparison to Hillary, sign me up. You know, he's against the TPP, he's against vaccines, he's for protecting our
He says
borders.
she's a communist Chinese agent, which she is.
What she
Remember us back in the mid-90s exposing her.
She is so many things. And anyone who is voting for Hillary Clinton is either totally mind-controlled, which is about 95% of the people, or you're getting paid off in some ways. You're an incredible, ignorant traitor if you're supporting Hillary. And we can go over point by point by point by point by point by point by point why Hillary is not good for America, why Hillary is not good for your families, why Hillary is not good for this earth. And
who is Hillary Clinton? I mean, she just looks and acts like a robot.
Well,
a satanically possessed robot. I mean, she looks like the Joker meets the Stepford Wives.
And remember, Hillary is only a puppet. There are people who are pulling her strings. And so I don't put all my attention into attacking Hillary because it's self-evident that she is.
But she's the establishment candidate. So Bernie Sanders people support her when she stole the election from Sanders.
And especially in California, what happened in California was a complete snow job in which the votes were stolen. And remember,
well, they just decided who was going to be the winner the day before.
Yeah, of course. With paper ballots, you can stuff one paper ballot box at a time. With the 4 computer companies, you can do whole cities at a time. Folks, this is self-evident. There's no way to recount the votes, and Hillary's people control the machine.
And that's why they want centralization everywhere, is because then they can scam and run things, and a few little things that don't match won't expose it. But this time, They didn't just steal it and have the computers come out the way they wanted. They admitted that the AP that runs what they formerly called Voter News Services, we've covered this ad nauseum for new listeners, they talked to the superdelegates and then projected who would win and decided the night before what the numbers would be to program the computers and then admitted it in the newspapers.
Of course. Now, this is...
But we now reached a point, George, where they admit, okay, there is a world government and it's unelected, but it's not the one the conspiracy theorists told you about.
Right. You know, Hillary is 100% behind the TPP. TPP makes NAFTA and GATT look like child's play. Let me repeat that. TPP is the most dangerous agreement that this government has ever signed and is the greatest danger to your freedoms and to this republic. Hillary Clinton is for it 100%.
But she's going to stick up for women.
Brothers and sisters.
What do you think of CNN, though, when they took it and had her being worshipped and said she was a golden goddess? Have you seen that?
I have. When she had all the white on. I mean, it's almost comical, except it's not comical because it is a matter of life and death. It is a matter of life and death. Not only the life and death of the rule of law and the republic, but of the future of this country. And folks, it is up to us. You know, it's not all doom and gloom. We can
no, we're not. We're admitting how bad it is. In fact, this is a good paradigm you always point out. And you say this 20 years ago to me, and I didn't get it. Hey, we got to give people hope. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm exposing the evil. The hope is we better fight it because that's just how my instincts are. A lot of other folks hear something's overwhelming. They just give up. No. We're exposing it because exposing them, basic humanity will turn against them like the Brexit. And that's now beginning. That's why it's such an exciting time to be alive. They're having to pull out all the stops to try to block us right now. Absolutely. But they're not successful at this point. They're losing control. And you see the whole world resisting globalism now. The whole world is coming together. That's why they're activating George Soros groups. He admits it on race and religious lines to cause infighting. There's beefs with everybody. There's real bad cops. There's real bad white supremacists or blacks, of course. But they blow it up out of proportion and make it the only issue so we're all uncomfortable fighting with each other so we don't see the controllers above us that are coming after everybody.
Absolutely, Alex.
So let's get into where you think Trump's going, the state of the world right now.
All you have to do is look at history. 1980, we had the Iran Fair when Jimmy Carter was being taken over by Ronald Reagan. 1992, we had Waco and we had Oklahoma City. All these are false flag events. 2011, the biggest false flag event of all time. 2008, and I do astrology, and whether you believe in it or not, is that there is the objective history of false flag events, and it appears to me as though a month and a half to 2 months before the election or 2 months or 3 months after the election, there is the possibility of a huge, massive false flag events. And knowledge is power. People like Alex and others around the world are putting out objective information so that we do not get blindsided this time. We know what's coming on because what they want to do is the old Hegelian theory, problem, reaction, solution, problem, reaction, solution, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. And friends, we have the ability now. We're building up the energy so that we can transcend this stuff. And
they almost can't do it anymore because they always get caught.
Well, they're always getting caught. I mean, what happened in Orlando?
Well, let's talk about astrology. Yeah. I personally just don't get into all that, whatever. But then you look at the elite, I mean, around the world, they are obsessed with it. Totally. They're making their decisions off of it. I mean, basically all of them. And so you better study it. I do now to be able to know what they're up to. Yeah. Because, and I don't mean the pop stuff, but I mean the real stuff. Right. That's what they're into.
Well, remember, everything is energy. Everything is energy. And if by understanding energy, we learn the astrology to transcend it. Let me repeat that. We learn to transcend it. Astrology to transcend it, for us to become our own highest Christ selves, for each human being to become the best that they can be, to live in cooperation and honesty and truth, and all the things that we're talking about, which is the basic bedrock of the republic of this country. Friends, this is not new stuff. This has gone way back to the one called Jesus, and even way, way back before that. We have the option right now, and even though we're facing the greatest danger to the future of humanity on this planet, we're also have the greatest opportunity to transcend. But it's going to take people, it's taking people like Alex and many others who have the backbone and the courage to speak the truth and to say, hey, look, this is not right. The king has no clothes on.
So you probably heard of Pokemon Go. It's the mobile game where you can go around, it's geolocated, and you catch little creatures called Pokemon. And some interesting stories coming out about that, right? So you've got this woman who found a body in a river from playing Pokemon Go. But then you've also got some more concerning articles, right? While you track Pokemon, Pokemon Go tracks you. And it talks about how this app is collecting the data of millions and millions of people because obviously no one reads the terms of service. You download an app or you install something on your computer, it would take 30 days per year if you actually read all of the terms of service. It's just basically impossible. So what they're doing is they're collecting pretty much all they possibly can. They're collecting your location, every single thing about you they can gather from your phone and your kids too. Even if your kids are under the age of 12, they're still getting it. And at their discretion, they're going to give it to anyone they please, right? So there's numerous pieces in USA Today, TechCrunch about this. And, you know, I was talking to Dr. Group earlier. He came in today to be on the show, and he was telling me about what he found out about Pokemon Go. And it's wild because it's such a big thing right now. It's a silly thing, right? It's a silly game, but it's really not that silly the way they track you and your kids when you're using this. And he was showing me about some of the permissions, and I thought it was absolutely absurd. So, Dr. Group, what's going on with this?
Well, it's good to know. It's always good to be aware, and especially for parents out there. I mean, even there are a lot of adults playing this, a lot of young children. I have 2 young boys, and I tell you what, I don't allow them to play a lot of these games, but I know parents that just kids have full access to purchase all these apps. And the scary thing is we're losing our privacy. You know that, we know that, we talk about it all the time. But since the Pokemon Go has been in the news, we did a little bit of digging and I started looking at it and found out that the Pokemon Go was created by a company called Niantic. And Niantic actually has connections with the company Keyhole, and anybody can do this research themselves. Keyhole was actually acquired by Google back in 2004, so that's strange. If you dig even deeper, you'll see that Keyhole received funding from a firm called INFOWARS, which is a government-controlled venture capital firm, and they invest in companies that will help beef up, their security and different types of methods that they can, look at you and spy on you, basically. And what they do is they collect and analyze and distribute geospatial intelligence. So as far as I'm concerned, Pokemon Go would be an ideal vessel basically to look at and to take geospatial analysis and evidence everywhere. So in turn, then one of the big things is, well, what is the privacy policy or what are they doing? So Niantic's privacy policy for Pokemon Go says that it may share the aggregated information and non-identifying information with third parties for research and analysis, demographic profiling, and other similar purposes. And the reason why we think this is really big news to share with everybody out there is because the strange thing is the company says that it will also disclose information about users, including children under the age of 13, who have been authorized by their parents to use the app. Now, they can turn on your video portion. They have direct access to your Gmail accounts through your phone. So if you accept this app and you accept their privacy policy, they can access every single thing on your phone. They can access your pictures. They can access your email accounts. And if you play the game, they can actually record everything through your video camera. And one of the sections in the privacy notice says that they are authorized to give this information to government or law enforcement officers or private parties as we, in our sole discretion, believe necessary or appropriate, to respond to claims, legal process, including subpoenas, to protect our property, rights, and safety, and the property, rights, and safety of a third party, or the public in general, to